started playing music when I was really young. I was playing violin when I was 4. That kind of got me into every other instrument under the sun. And then when I was 13 or 14, I started writing songs when people started breaking my heart. There wasn't much that I really cared for until I got to, in terms of my songwriting, until I got to high school. And then I moved to New York City for college. Just kind of hit the ground running with shows and stuff, and tried to play out whenever I could, and got lucky with some like touring looks, and here we are, I guess. Yeah. I guess when people kept coming back to listen, I got really lucky with a song for Beyoncé on her Lemonade album, and that opened the door behind the scenes on some other songwriting opportunities. And all the while I was going on tour with some friends, and it all has just kind of grown pretty organically so far. When I was old enough to buy my own CDs, I got really into soul music and Sam Cooke and Ray Charles and Otis, and that kind of music just has spoken to me every time I listen to it. I think with those kind of singers, the technical side of it has always been really impressive. So I've learned a lot melodically from those kinds of singers, and also lyrically. And then people like Bob Dylan and Stevie Wonder and Joni Mitchell really took a lot of pages out of their handbooks in terms of how I like to write songs. And I think, like everyone else, all my influences, I've sort of just adapted around those to try and make my own stuff unique. When I first started putting songs out, when I first put the song called Coloring out, I was calling everything that I was releasing odd soul, which I was basically referring to this sort of R&B soul sort of direction, but with all these different influences, whether it's jazz or pop music or classical music, just sort of drive home the point that I'm listening to so many things, but that's kind of where my voice sits and where I'm most comfortable, and yeah, eventually it started to evolve into its own, I hope, its own sort of singular category with, especially with this last album. This album took me a long time. I was working on these songs for forever. I think in 2018, we kind of regrouped. I worked with a producer named Brad Cook, just kind of re-recorded everything on the record all together, and took a very cinematic approach to it. We used a lot of strings and different instrumentation, and everything was super analog. And so there wasn't much coming out of the computer at the end of it all, which was kind of refreshing. But it was a fun challenge, learning experience. And the goal with me and the stuff that I've released has always been to constantly be refining yourself. And when I realized that the record was done, I've looked at it as the best thing I've done so far. So felt like I did my job, and then we'll see. So far the response has been really good. The first thing I had really written for anyone else was called Pray You Catch Me, off of Lemonade for Beyoncé. It was my kind of first big placement, I guess. I still don't know how that happened. It was kind of a right place, right time thing. Off of that kind of, I think, introduced me to some other artists and some other people who write for other artists, and got me in some rooms. Have given me the opportunity to keep making music for other people. I think I like working with the actual artist more than anything else, because you can kind of get a real sense of what they're looking for and what that resonates with them. Beyoncé's song kind of sort of changed everything for me behind the scenes. When I first handed the song off, I wasn't sure what was going to happen, because I'd never done this before, and I was anxious to hear how she was going to sing it. whether it was going to be like a real big Beyoncé moment where she you know, sings it nice and strong and does a bunch of runs all over everything, or if she was going to keep it sort of understated like the demo. She did the latter. She sang it, you know, really vulnerably, and I feel like it was one of the more like open and sort of honest moments for her. In terms of the creative process, I was kind of just in it for the ride, and heard the record sort of not too far off from everyone else when everyone else did when the whole album came out. She ended up using some of my sounds, so I sort of backed my way into a production credit on that, and then yeah, James added the sort of intro section. There you have it, I guess. Yeah. It's too long of a list to mention. I was talking about Labyrinth the other day. He's amazing. It'd be cool to work with him. I'd love to work with James again. Frank Ocean would be cool. Anderson .Paak. A lot of hip hop artists. There's this rapper named Saba who's really good. Vince Staples would be cool. I like Phoebe Bridgers. I don't know but she's an amazing songwriter. Yeah, too many people. Yeah.